welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is James, and on this channel I like to share random tips, tricks, tutorials about web development. Today I'm coming at you with another video about Etch. It's probably going to be a fairly short video. I just want to talk briefly about something in Etch called a slot. And typically you're going to see a content slot, but there are other slots. There's really, as far as I know at this moment, and I could be wrong, but as far as I know, there's basically two uses for a slot in Etch, and we're going to talk about those uses in this video. So let's go ahead and click this button there. Here we go. We're going to start by talking about the content slot. And so if you know how WordPress works, WordPress is based on templates. So a WordPress theme has to have at least an index.php template. You can technically have a WordPress website with just one single template file. You could render every single page, post, whatever, with the index.php. Now that's not ideal. Typically you have other template files. You usually have a template file that determines how your posts look. Oftentimes you'll have one template that controls what your home page looks like. You'll have another template that controls what all the other pages look like. You can have templates for specific custom post types, yada, yada, yada. So what we're going to do is we're just going to create a page template, and I'm going to use that template to show you how the content slot works. So we're going to launch Etch, and we're going to go to the templates section. And you can see I've already created some templates on this website. You'll have the index template by default. I think they also give you the 404 page by default, and those are the only two templates you'll have by default. Everything else you have to create. So I'm going to click this plus sign here and choose single page to create a single page template. And just so you know, whenever you create a new template, it just starts off as a copy of the index template. So we'll click on edit, and you can see there's already a header there. That's because the index template had a header. So if we click on this main element, you'll see this content slot. Okay, so I'm going to save this, and then we're just going to view the sample page that every WordPress website has that you normally delete, but I haven't deleted yet. And let's just view this on the front end. So as you can see, we have our header, and then we just have some text, and that's it. There's no title, there's no images, anything like that. So what exactly is happening here? Well, if we edit this page, and I'll go ahead and add a custom, or not a featured image while I'm here. Let's just pick something random. There we go. There's a dumb picture of me. Yeah, we'll save that, and we'll just take another look at this page. So I just want you to see that the featured image doesn't show up. All we have is this text. Why is that? Well, it's because if we go back to the editor, that text that you saw on the front end is this text right here. In WordPress language, this is the content. Okay, the word content sometimes is used kind of generally, but in WordPress, content is a specific thing. Okay, it's literally just whatever you put in this block editor. And if you're using the classic editor, it's that WYSIWYG text area. That's it, nothing else. It's not gonna, the categories or tags are not included in content. The featured image isn't included in content. The title is not included in content. If you have custom fields, that's not included in the content. Okay, it's only whatever you put here in the block editor. That is the only thing that shows up as content. So if we go back to our template, single page, this content slot is just taking whatever is entered into that Gutenberg editor content area, and it's just dumping it wherever you put this content slot. And you could add another one. I mean, you could, let's duplicate that, save. And look at that, it just dumps it on twice. There's the first time, there's the second time. All right, that's all the content slot is doing, is whatever you put as the content of that post or page, it's just going to put that on the page. So, you know, if you want to have the title of the page here, you actually have to add that manually. So you could come in here and you could add a heading, and we could say, since it's a template, we can just say this.title. Save. And now we have a title. Okay, so the title's not included in content. So that's basically it for the content slot, and that's how it works on any poster page. If you create a template for posts, like I've already done, I don't know if I'm actually using the content slot in here because there's other ways to add content. But if I were to add a content slot, which you can do right here, it would just, again, whatever content is added to this post will show up wherever you put that content slot. That's all the content slot does. On that note, I mentioned that there's other ways to add content to a page. If we edit this template, whoops, wrong button. Let's go into the template, single page. I could delete this and I could add text, and I could say this.content. And it's still working. Now, I'm not going to show you an example of this in this video, but I will say that you are going to want to use the content slot. And the reason I say that is because I have in the past run into issues where I've had some stuff in the content of a poster page that was a little more complicated than just a couple paragraph blocks. And doing this dot content like we just did doesn't always render the content properly, whereas the slot content renders it properly. One stupid example was I just to test, I added a 2-column row and I put some content in one column, put some content in the other column, saved it, and when I used the content slot, I could see the 2 columns. But when I tried just this dot content, it lost the column formatting and it just put everything in one column. There wasn't the 2-column layout anymore. And there's been a couple other times where just doing this dot content wasn't rendering the content properly. So I would recommend just using the content slot. The other slot is, I don't really know what to call it. It's just a slot. And a slot is basically like a placeholder where you can put stuff. And I'll show you, because that doesn't make a lot of sense just saying that. So I'll show you what I mean by opening up our header template, or our index template, and then we'll edit our header component. If I click on this, you'll see I have the slot, and it says right. The content slot said content. If you do that, if you add a slot and you put content in there, it will grab the content. Otherwise, it won't grab anything. You can name it whatever you want. I can name this can I rename it after I've already... Maybe you can't rename it. That's okay. When you add the slot, so let's say I'll come down here and add a slot. Yeah, okay. You can name it whatever you want. Doesn't matter. It doesn't change the functionality. It doesn't change how it functions based on the name unless you type content. If you type content, then it becomes the content slot. Otherwise, it's just an empty container basically that you can put stuff in. And if you're wondering why is that necessary, because I can already just dump stuff in here. Well, where this becomes very useful is components. Okay, you'll notice that these elements are purple. That means they're a component, and you can see that this component header has a nav component inside of it. Now you can just dump a nav component in here. So if I click on this and edit the header component, come down here, click plus, drop nav, it will work. Okay, but here's the problem. If I save this and exit, first of all, I can't see the nav component that I just added unless I edit this component. So if I edit the header component, now I see the nav component that I just added, but if I right click on this, I can't edit it. So if I ever need to change this nav component, I can't do it here because it won't let me, because I'm already in a component editor for the header, so I can't then also enter into the component editor for this nav. So I'll delete this, and this is why slots are useful, because I'll exit, so I'm not editing any component. I'll click on header, I'll click on this to expand it, and I can't see the other stuff that's in the header because I'm not in the editor mode for this component, but I can see the slot, and I can see whatever I put in that slot. So now I can right click on nav and I can edit this component. Okay, so this is a very handy thing because, you know, before I discovered this slot and how it could be used, if I wanted to edit this nav, what I would do is I would just add the nav somewhere, not inside this other component, right? And then I would edit it, come in here, make all whatever changes I want, save it, and then just delete it. Because when you edit the component, it edits, you know, all the instances of that component. So that's what I would have to do in the past to edit the nav component, and that's a bit of a hassle, as you just saw. That's kind of silly. So now that I understand how slots work, I added a slot to my header, I put the nav component inside that slot, and now I can easily edit this nav component without having to add it somewhere else, change it, and then delete it. So that's it. As far as I know, that's the only two use cases for a slot. So if you're watching this and you know of another use case for a slot, please drop a comment and enlighten me, because I'm trying to learn. I'm always trying to learn, and I would not be surprised to discover that there's more stuff you can do with slots that I didn't know about. So like I said, pretty short video today, so I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned something, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.